Thank you. I'm Marc Andrus, the Episcopal Bishop of California, based here in San Francisco, 2 blocks over, Grace Cathedral. I hope some of you will come streaming over at 4 o'clock. The story I'd like to tell is a story of how I got involved in the COPS, in the Conference of Parties, and what we brought to it, and how I think that what the church brought to faith bodies, to the Conference of Parties, increases ambition. My wife, who's an ecological entomologist, and I have been involved in environmental work since the first Earth Day in 1970, which tells you something. And but it was here in San Francisco where I was serving as bishop when, in the early part of 2015, when a woman priest who worked, my closest associate, who has since died of ovarian cancer, and she was just becoming sick, said to me, sort of out of the blue, "I think you need to go to Paris." And I thought, yes, I'm going to do that. So I wrote the Archbishop of Canterbury, who is the spiritual head of my communion, the Anglican Communion, and I wrote the transformative presiding bishop of our church, the Episcopal Church, Michael Curry. He's the guy who preached at the royal wedding, just to identify him. And I said I would be willing to represent them, but that I was going as the Bishop of California, regardless. And so I did end up leading a delegation for the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church. And when we started to think about what we would do at the COP, we were not an observer organization at the time. We were simply going, hanging out in the Green Zone in Paris. I thought we should do what everyone else does. We should network, we should learn, we should advocate. Our policy statements advocate towards the 1.5 degrees rather than 2, which I was glad of. So we did all those things, but then I thought we should be also the spiritual body that we are. We should take who we are. So we set up a little roving space in the Green Zone and had daily meditations while thousands of people walked by. We had chant, prayer, and meditations on spiritual values that support climate action. So the first 4 in Paris were courage, forgiveness, reconciliation, and compassion. At that COP, which was so important to the world, I remember at each day we would ask the question after a meditation. We would say, how does this spiritual value support your life of climate action? And there was a physician, a medical physician from Indonesia, who spoke up. He was in his early 70s, and he said that his father was the largest palm oil producer, one of the largest palm oil farmers in Indonesia. And that we were meditating on forgiveness. And he said, I was so angry with my father when I learned the destruction that palm oil production was creating in my country, that I was at odds with him for many, many years. We didn't speak. And then he said, I realized that it was his dedication to me as his son that paid for my medical education and allowed me to save the lives of many people. So I went and asked his forgiveness and was reconciled to him. And we were stronger together than we were apart. That was one story. And then when we went to Morocco, in Marrakesh, it was a total surprise. We started the same process. We had more values. We added more spiritual values. And there, we kept these to half an hour each session. But suddenly we were flooded with young adult Muslims who wanted to talk. And these were young professionals. They were graduate students in architecture and environmental engineering. And they said, we have the technological know-how. We know how to solve many problems in climate change. What we're looking for is the spiritual basis upon which our action would proceed. And they would sit down in the middle of the flow of the public and talk for 2 hours about up to 60 young people each day about what their spiritual values were. They wrote their own meditations and moved forward. So finally, today, at this service at Grace Cathedral, we call it a service of wondering and commitment. And I would like to say that the idea of wonder increases our ambition. Wonder is the first sign that you've fallen in love. And we protect and defend that which we love. So if we can help people connect to experiences which are spiritual, of wonder in the world, and they increase that wondering, we will more and more love this world, and we will give our energy and our work to defend it. Thank you.